The ambassador's gambit. The ceasefire had held for 23 days, but Commander Fiona Kestrel couldn't shake the feeling that it was as fragile as spider silk. Standing at the observation deck of the Earth Coalition vessel Harmony, she watched the distant shimmer of the Lumeri flagship. Its crystalline structure caught the light of the nearby star, refracting it into cascades of azure and violet that seemed to dance across the void. "Still keeping watch, Commander?" Captain Julian Mercer joined her, his weathered face a map of the long conflict they'd endured. "Old habits," Fiona replied, brushing a strand of auburn hair from her face. 3 years of fighting the Lumeri. Makes it hard to believe we're actually talking peace now." "The stellar conflict changed us all," Julian said quietly. "But the Lumeri have lost as much as we have, perhaps more." Fiona nodded, remembering the reports of devastated colonies on both sides. What had begun as a territorial dispute over a mineral-rich asteroid belt had escalated into a war that spanned 12 star systems. Millions dead, worlds scarred. And for what? "The delegation arrives in 30 minutes, Julian reminded her. "As our xenopolitical specialist, you'll be leading the cultural exchange portion." "Understood, sir." Fiona straightened her midnight blue uniform, the silver insignia of Earth Coalition Command catching the light. Her heart raced at the prospect of face-to-face contact with the beings humanity had fought for so long. The delegation chamber was a neutral space designed with both species in mind. Soft amber lighting complemented the circular table that dominated the center. No corners, no edges, a symbolic gesture of equality and harmony. When the Lumeri entered, Fiona's breath caught in her throat. They moved with ethereal grace, their opalescent skin shifting colors like mood rings. Leading them was Nix Tori, chief diplomat of the Lumeri Collective. Unlike the others, whose skin displayed calm blues and greens, Nix Tori's shimmered with hints of gold and crimson colors Fiona had learned signified curiosity and intensity. The diplomatic proceedings began with the formal exchange of peace. Terms. Captain Mercer and the Lumeri High Emissary spoke of boundaries, resource sharing, and reparations, the cold mechanics of peace. But Fiona found herself repeatedly drawn to Nix Tori, who seemed equally interested in her. During a brief recess, Fiona found herself alone with the Lumeri diplomat in the ship's arboretum. The earth plants seemed to fascinate Nix Tori, whose slender fingers gently traced the petals of a rose. "Your species has a curious relationship with beauty," Nix Tori observed, voice melodic with an otherworldly timbre. "You cultivate it even aboard vessels of war." "Perhaps because we need reminders of what we're fighting for," Fiona replied. "Or what we should be protecting instead of destroying." Nix Tori's skin rippled with a pattern Fiona hadn't seen before. "You speak differently than your military counterparts, Commander Kestrel." "I was a xenanthropologist before the war," Fiona admitted. "Studying different cultures was my passion. And now you study us as potential allies rather than enemies." Nix Tori's iridescent eyes met Fiona's. "An improvement, would you not?" "Agree?" A smile tugged at Fiona's lips, considerably. Their conversation deepened as Nix Tori explained the Lumeri concept of shared resonance, their belief that all sentient beings vibrated at frequencies that could harmonize or clash. "And what do you feel from me?" Fiona asked, surprised by her own boldness. Nix Tori moved closer, the scent of something like cinnamon and starlight emanating from the alien's form. "Complexity, curiosity, compassion, rare qualities in times of conflict." Their moment was interrupted by the summons back to negotiations, but something had shifted between them. As days of talks turned into weeks, Fiona and Nix Tori found themselves gravitating toward each other during breaks, exchanging cultural insights that went beyond formal diplomatic requirements. One evening, as Fiona reviewed treaty documents, in her quarters, her communication panel chimed with an unexpected message. It was from Nick Story, bypassing official channels. Commander Kestrel, the message read, there are aspects of our people that cannot be understood through formal discourse. I wish to extend an invitation to visit the Lumeri Citadel as my personal guest. There is much more to share. If you are willing. Fiona stared at the invitation, knowing that accepting would cross the line from professional diplomacy into something far more personal and potentially dangerous. With only slight hesitation, she typed her response. I accept. Whispers in the Citadel. The Lumeri Citadel hung in space like a jewel suspended in darkness, its crystalline spires catching starlight and transforming it into a kaleidoscope of colors. As Fiona's shuttle approached, she felt a mixture of awe and trepidation. No human had ever been invited to the heart of Lumeri civilization before. We are honored by your acceptance, Commander Kestrel, said Ornval, the Lumeri pilot. His skin pulsed with gentle blue tones, a sign of peaceful intentions. Diplomat Nix Tauri has prepared extensively for your arrival. The shuttle docked with fluid precision, and when the airlock cycled open, Nix Tauri was waiting. Today, the diplomat's skin shimmered with anticipation, rippling between amber and rose gold. Commander, Nix Tauri greeted, extending both hands palm up in the traditional Lumeri welcome. Your presence honors us. Fiona returned the gesture, placing her hands gently above Nix Tauri's, without touching, just as she had studied. The honor is mine. Your home is ... breathtaking. This is merely the threshold, Nix Tauri replied, with a smile that transformed those otherworldly features. Allow me to show you our true home. The Citadel interior defied human architecture in every way. Corridors curved organically, chambers expanded and contracted based on occupancy, and throughout the structure, bioluminescent flora provided living light that responded to emotions. Fiona's scientific mind raced to understand the technology behind it all, while her human heart simply marveled. Our ancestors built the first citadel 10,000 years ago, Nix Tauri explained as they walked. Each generation adds to it, not just physically but spiritually. The structure remembers everyone who has lived within it. It's alive? Fiona asked, wide-eyed. In a way your science might not recognize, but yes. Nix Tauri's hand brushed against Fiona's momentarily. It resonates with us. Their tour culminated in a vast chamber with a ceiling open to the stars. A garden of strange, beautiful plants surrounded a central pool that reflected the cosmos above. Other Lumeri moved about, some curious about the human visitor, others deliberately distant. Not everyone welcomes our new accord, Nix Tauri admitted, noticing Fiona's observation of the less friendly glances, particularly those who lost loved ones in the conflict. It's the same among my people, Fiona said softly. Peace requires courage from those who've known only war. That evening, Fiona was guest of honor at a gathering of Lumeri officials. The food synthesized to accommodate human biology was surprisingly delicious, with flavors that shifted and evolved as she ate. The conversation, however, was less comfortable. Tanith Moore, the Lumeri Minister of Defense, regarded Fiona with undisguised suspicion. Tell me, Commander, how does one transition from studying cultures to destroying them? A hush fell over the gathering. Nix Tauri's skin darkened with displeasure, but Fiona spoke before her host could intervene. With great difficulty and greater regret, she answered, meeting Tanith Moore's gaze steadily. I joined the military when the war began, because I believed I could help prevent cultural misunderstandings from escalating conflicts. I failed more often than I succeeded. Her honesty seemed to catch Tanith Moore off guard. The minister inclined her head slightly before withdrawing from the conversation. Later, Nix Tauri escorted Fiona to her quarters, a chamber that had been specially modified for human comfort. You handled Tanith more admirably, Nixtori said, lingering at the doorway. She lost her life mate in the Battle of Proxima. I understand her pain, Fiona replied. My brother died when the Lumeri fleet targeted our colony on Europa. Nixtori's skin pulsed with a deep indigo, the color of sorrow. Perhaps that is why we resonate. You and I, we have both seen the cost of misunderstanding. Something unspoken passed between them, a current of connection that transcended their differences. Nixtori moved closer, reaching out to touch Fiona's cheek with those slender fingers. The contact sent a warm vibration through Fiona's skin. Rest well, Commander, Nixtori murmured. Tomorrow, I will show you things no human has ever seen. In the privacy of her room, Fiona stood by the window, gazing at the unfamiliar stars. She had come here as a diplomat, but something was changing, something profound and potentially dangerous. Her heart beat faster at the memory of Nixtori's touch, and she wondered if she was crossing a line from which there could be no return. Unbeknownst to her, in another part of the Citadel, a group of Lumeri officials gathered in shadow, their skin dark with purpose. The human's presence is an abomination, one whispered. Nixtori has gone too far. Patience, counseled another. This ... friendship may yet serve our true purpose. Their conspiracy hung in the air like poison, waiting to infect the fragile peace. Fractured alliances 3 weeks into Fiona's stay at the Lumeri Citadel. An urgent message arrived from Earth Coalition Command. Admiral Victor Blackwood's stern face filled the communication screen in her quarters. Commander Kestrel, he began. Without preamble, your extended stay with the Lumeri is raising concerns at the highest levels. Some believe you've become compromised. Fiona stiffened. My mission is cultural exchange and diplomatic relationship building, sir. That requires immersion. There's immersion, and then there's going native, Blackwood retorted. Reports indicate you've grown. Unusually close to diplomat Nixtori. Heat crept up Fiona's neck. My relationship with diplomat Nixtori is professional but cordial. The Lumeri value personal connections in their diplomatic process. Just remember where your loyalties lie, Commander. We need you focused on protecting human interests, not seduced by alien charms. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. The Senate Committee is growing impatient for tangible results from this cultural exchange. After the call ended, Fiona paced her quarters, frustrated. What Blackwood couldn't understand, what perhaps no human who hadn't spent time among the Lumeri could understand, was how their society functioned on levels beyond political calculation. The connection she'd formed with Nixtori wasn't just personal. It represented a breakthrough in human Lumeri relations. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Nixtori, but the diplomat's usually vibrant skin was subdued, tinged with gray undertones. You're troubled, Fiona observed, gesturing for Nixtori to enter. As are you, Nixtori replied. Our resonance betrays us both. They sat together on the curved bench by the window, closer than protocol might dictate, but not caring anymore. The Lumeri High Council questions my judgment, Nixtori admitted. Particularly my sister, Selinev. She believes I've allowed personal feelings to cloud my diplomatic duties. Admiral Blackwood said something similar about me, Fiona said with a rueful smile. Perhaps they should meet. They'd get along splendidly in their mutual disapproval. Nixtori's skin brightened momentarily with amusement before darkening again. My sister is not merely disapproving. She is dangerous. As Minister of Security, she has significant influence, and she has never supported peace with humans. What does she want? Dominance, not coexistence. She believes the war ended too soon, that with one final push, the Lumeri could have claimed all disputed territories. Nixtori's hand found Fiona's, intertwining their fingers. She sees you as a symbol of everything she despises. The touch sent pleasant vibrations up Fiona's arm. She'd learned that for the Lumeri, such contact was intimate as sharing of resonance. That went beyond the physical. Her pulse quickened as she returned the gentle pressure. "Then we face opposition from both sides," she said softly. "All meaningful change does," Nixtori replied, leaning closer. "The question is whether we have the courage to continue." Their first kiss was tentative, a crossing of boundaries, both physical and metaphorical. Nixtori's lips were warm, vibrating, with a frequency that seemed to harmonize with Fiona's very being. When they parted, both were breathless, caught in a moment of connection that defied the tensions surrounding them. "This complicates things," Fiona whispered. "Or perhaps simplifies them," Nixtori countered, skin now glowing with a deep rose. Hue that Fiona had never seen before. "Now we know what we're fighting for." Their moment of intimacy was shattered by an alarm that pulsed through the citadel. Nixtori pulled away, skin instantly shifting to alert orange. "Security breach," the diplomat explained, moving quickly to the communication panel. "This isn't a drill." Reports flooded in of an unauthorized shuttle docking at a remote section of the citadel. Security forces converged on the location, but not before the intruders, a mix of humans and Lumeri, vanished into the depths of the structure. Hours later, Fiona found herself in the High Council chamber, standing beside Nixtori, as they faced accusations from both sides. Selenavex, tall and imposing with skin like burnished copper, led the charge. "This infiltration occurred under your watch, sibling," she said to Nixtori, the familial tone sounding like an accusation, "while you were distracted by your human guest. The timing suggests coordination with Commander Kestrel's communication." "With Earth," added Counselor Drevsar, his ancient face creased with suspicion. "That's absurd," Fiona protested. "I've done nothing to compromise security." "Yet here we stand," Selenavex countered, "with human infiltrators loose in our most sacred home." As accusations flew, Fiona caught sight of a message flashing on her. Personal communicator. It was from Captain Mercer. "Urgent. Coalition forces report missing weapons. Rogue elements suspected. Watch your back." The pieces began to fall into place. This wasn't a simple security breach. It was the beginning of something far worse. Shadows of betrayal. The explosion ripped through the lower levels of the Lumeri citadel, sending shockwaves that could be felt throughout the structure. Fiona and Nixtori were running before the alarms even began, their shared instincts guiding them toward the source of the attack. "The resonance chamber," Nixtori gasped, skin paling to a ghostly white. "If that's their target, what happens if it's destroyed?" Fiona asked as they raced through corridors now filled with panicked Lumeri. "The Citadel is more than a structure, Fiona. The resonance chamber is its heart, the repository of our collective consciousness for generations. If it fails..." They arrived at a security checkpoint to find Selenavex organizing a response team, her skin a fierce crimson. "You," she hissed when she saw Fiona. "How convenient that you're here, Commander. Just as human explosives tear through our home." "This isn't my doing," Fiona protested. "There are forces on both sides working against peace. My ship warned me about missing weapons and rogue elements." "Convenient excuses," Selenavex sneered. "Enough," Nixtori intervened. "The resonance chamber is in danger. We don't have time for accusations." A second explosion cut through their argument, closer this time. The lights flickered, and Fiona felt a subtle change in the Citadel's atmosphere, as if the structure itself was in pain. "They're working their way inward," Fiona observed, her military training taking over. "Classic infiltration pattern. We need to get ahead of them." To her surprise, Selenavex nodded curtly. "The human is right. We'll split into teams. Nixtori, take the commander and circle around through the meditation gardens. My team will advance directly. We'll trap them between us." As they separated, Fiona caught a glint of something in Selene-Vex's eyes that troubled her. But there was no time to dwell on it. The meditation gardens were eerily quiet, their bioluminescent flora dimmed as if sensing danger. Nick's story moved with silent grace, guiding Fiona through shortcuts only a lifetime resident would know. "I've been thinking," Fiona whispered as they paused at an intersection. "These attacks are too coordinated to be random extremists. Someone high-ranking must be involved." "On both sides?" Nick Story agreed grimly. "The timing, the precision, this was planned long before the peace accord." A shadow moved ahead, and they froze. 3 figures, 2 human, 1 Lumeri, were placing devices along the corridor leading to the resonance chamber. "We can't let them finish," Nick Story murmured. "Those are quantum disruptors. They'll shatter the resonance field completely." Fiona drew her sidearm a concession Selene-Vex had reluctantly granted after the first security breach. "On my mark." Their ambush caught the saboteurs off guard. Fiona's stun blast took down 1 human, while Nick Story launched a paralytic energy sphere that immobilized the Lumeri trader. The 3rd attacker fled deeper into the citadel. "We need to disarm these before they detonate," Fiona said, examining. "The devices, can you?" "Basic coalition design, modified with Lumeri tech. Someone wanted these to look like a human attack." Fiona worked quickly, disabling the detonation mechanisms. But they didn't count on a human recognizing the inconsistencies. They secured the unconscious saboteurs and continued toward the resonance chamber, now more certain than ever that they were dealing with a conspiracy that reached into the highest levels of both governments. The chamber itself was a vast dome where millions of crystalline fragments floated in a complex, ever-shifting pattern. Each fragment, Nick Story had once explained, contained the essence of a Lumeri who had contributed to their society memories, wisdom, emotional resonances preserved for eternity. They found Selene-Vex already there, alone, standing before the control interface. "Where's your team?" Fiona asked, instantly alert. "Securing the perimeter," Selene-Vex replied smoothly. "Did you encounter resistance?" 3 saboteurs, Nick Story answered. "They had quantum disruptors." "How unfortunate." Selene-Vex's hand moved to her waist, drawing a weapon neither of them had seen before. "For you both." The betrayal hung in the air for a moment before Nick Story broke the silence. "Why, sister? Our people were finally finding peace." "Peace?" Selene-Vex scoffed. "We were finding submission. The humans would never have honored the treaty. This way, when the Citadel falls and evidence of a human attack is discovered, our people will unite in righteous vengeance." Admiral Blackwood agrees. "Blackwood," Fiona breathed. "He's part of this?" "He believes, as I do, that our species cannot coexist. One must dominate." Selene-Vex aimed her weapon at the control interface. "When this is over, the war will resume, and this time there will be no hesitation, no mercy." "And thousands more will die," Nick Story said sadly. "Including you, sister." Before Selene-Vex could respond, the chamber resonated with a deep harmonic pulse. The floating crystals brightened, their formation shifting to create a barrier between Selene-Vex and the control interface. "What is this?" she demanded, firing her weapon only to have the energy absorbed by the crystalline shield. "The Citadel remembers," Nick Story explained. "It protects those who protect it. Security forces loyal to the High Council, not to Selene-Vex flooded." The chamber, led by Tanith Moore. The defense minister's stern face showed no surprise at finding Selene-Vex armed against her own sibling. "We intercepted your communications with the human admiral," Tanith Moore informed her as guards secured the trader. "The High Council has been monitoring you both for some time. We simply needed proof." As Selene-Vex was led away, her parting, glare at Fiona and Nick's story promised that their troubles were far from over. But for now, at least, the immediate threat had passed Dot in the aftermath. As they stood amid the gently pulsing light of the preserved Lumeri consciousness, Nick's story turned to Fiona with skin glowing a deep, intimate purple. "It seems our resonance was stronger than their discord," the diplomat said softly. Fiona took Nick's story's hand, feeling that now familiar vibration that seemed to connect them at a fundamental level. "We still have to deal with Blackwood and whoever else was part of this conspiracy," she reminded. "Yes," Nick Story agreed, "but not alone, never alone again." Celestial Union 6 months after the failed attack on the Lumeri Citadel, Fiona stood on the observation deck of the newly christened diplomatic vessel Concordia. Below, the blue-green jewel of Earth rotated serenely, while above, the stars beckoned, with possibilities that once seemed impossible. "Admiring the view, Ambassador Kestrel?" The familiar melodic voice sent a pleasant shiver down Fiona's spine. "Never gets old," she replied, as Nick Story joined her. "Neither does that title. I'm still getting used to it." "You earned it," Nick Story said, skin shimmering with proud gold tones. "Your testimony against Admiral Blackwood and his conspirators saved countless lives on both sides." The aftermath of the Citadel incident had sent shockwaves through both governments. Blackwood and 11 other high-ranking coalition officials had been arrested for conspiracy and treason. On the Lumeri side, Selenivex and her followers faced judgment from the High Council, a process that, in their culture, involved not just punishment, but a deep resonance therapy to heal the discord within their spirits. "The new treaty is stronger than we could have hoped," Fiona observed. "Joint scientific missions, cultural exchanges, shared defense protocols, and the first official interspecies liaison office," Nick Story added with a smile, fingers intertwining with Fiona's. "Which brings me to why I sought you out." Fiona turned, taking in the sight of her lover. Nick Story wore formal Lumeri attire, flowing fabrics that complemented the diplomat's ever-changing skin tones. Today, those tones shifted between excited amber and nervous violet. "You're anxious," Fiona noted. "That's rare for you." "What I am about to ask has no precedent in our combined histories," Nick Story began. "Our relationship has already broken new ground, challenged assumptions, and survived attempts to destroy it." From within the folds of the ceremonial garment, Nick Story produced a small crystalline object that pulsed with inner light. "This is a resonance crystal," the diplomat explained. "Among my people, when two souls wish to formalize their connection, they create a shared resonance, a harmonization of their essential frequencies that can never be broken." Fiona's breath caught as she understood. "You're proposing?" "In my way, yes." Nick Story's skin bloomed with patterns of hope and vulnerability. "The crystal would contain a piece of both our essences, linked forever. It is more than a symbol, it is a literal joining of our beings. No human and Lumeri have ever attempted such a bond." "Will it work? Physiologically?" Fiona asked, her scientific mind momentarily overtaking her emotional response. "The physiological aspects are secondary to the spiritual intent," Nick Story explained. "But yes, our research suggests compatibility. Your brainwaves already show adaptation to Lumeri resonance patterns. The bond would likely strengthen that connection." Fiona gazed at the crystal, then into the iridescent eyes of the being who had transformed her understanding of connection, of purpose, of love itself. "Yes," she said simply. "With all my heart, yes." The bonding ceremony took place 2 weeks later in the neutral space of the Concordia's central atrium. Representatives from both species attended, including Captain Mercer now, Admiral Mercer, who had supported their relationship from the beginning. The ritual itself was breathtaking. As Fiona and Nick Story stood within a circle of harmonic emitters, the resonance crystal between them began to glow, responding to the specialized field that would help transfer and merge their essence imprints. In times of old, the stars were distant and cold, began the Lumeri elder who presided over the ceremony. But today, we witness the closing of distance, the warming of cosmic isolation. Two beings, born of different worlds, choose to create a new harmony. Fiona felt a gentle vibration begin at her fingertips, where they touched Nick's Stories. The sensation spread up her arms and throughout her body, a pleasant humming that seemed to match her heartbeat. Share your truths, the elder instructed. Speak that which you wish to preserve in your unified resonance. I bring persistence, Fiona said, her voice steady despite the emotional magnitude of the moment. The human drive to explore, to understand, to build bridges where chasms once existed. I bring perspective, Nick's Story responded, skin glowing with intense emotion. The Lumeri awareness that all things are connected, that no being exists in isolation, that harmony requires both strength and flexibility. As they spoke, the crystal between them pulsed brighter, absorbing their words, their intentions, their essence. Fiona felt a curious sensation, as if a warm current flowed from her heart into the crystal and then into Nick's Story, creating a circuit of energy that grew stronger with each passing moment. When the elder placed their hands directly on the crystal, the connection intensified. Fiona gasped as she experienced, for a brief, transcendent moment, the world through Nick's Story is perception colors beyond human comprehension, resonances in everything from stars to atoms, the beautiful complexity of existence seen through alien senses. From Nick's Story as expression, the diplomat was experiencing something equally profound. From Fiona's perspective, the crystal absorbed a portion of their combined essence, then separated into two linked halves, one for each of them to wear. As they placed the crystals against their skin, a permanent bond formed, a resonance that would connect them across any distance. What began in war concludes in harmony, the elder pronounced. May your union inspire others to seek resonance rather than discord. Later, in the privacy of their shared quarters, Fiona and Nick's Story explored the depth of their new connection. Their intimacy was both physical and metaphysical touches that sent harmonizing vibrations through both bodies, emotions that resonated between them without words, a joining that transcended the merely biological to create something neither species had experienced before. I can feel you, Fiona whispered in wonder, touching the crystal at her throat. Even when we're not touching, I sense your presence. This is only the beginning, Nick's Story promised, skin glowing with the deep purple of profound intimacy. The resonance will deepen over time, allowing us to share thoughts, dreams, even memories eventually. Will we lose ourselves? Fiona asked, a momentary concern flickering through her mind. No, Nick's Story assured her. The beauty of true resonance is that it amplifies what makes each being unique while creating something greater from the harmony. We remain ourselves, but we are also something new together. As they held each other, looking out at the stars that had once separated their peoples, Fiona reflected on the improbable journey that had brought them here. From enemies to reluctant allies, from diplomatic connections to something deeper than either culture had words to fully describe. What happens now? She asked softly. Now, Nick's Story said, we do what neither of our species could do alone. We build bridges between worlds. We heal wounds left by war. We show what's possible when discord gives way to harmony. And we love, Fiona added, drawing Nick's Story closer. Across differences, across space, across all boundaries. Yes, Nick's Story agreed, skin glowing with the promise of their shared future. Above all, we love. Outside their window, Earth and the Lumeri homeworld hung in the void, no longer separated by conflict, but united by the most unexpected and powerful force in the universe. The resonance between two beings who had found in each other not an alien, but a home